Sophia had always lived a life defined by discipline and predictability. At 25, she had a stable job as a teacher, a modest apartment in the city, and a close-knit circle of friends. Her boyfriend, Ryan, was charming and ambitious, and she had believed their love was the foundation of her future. However, her world shattered when a routine medical checkup revealed she was HIV positive. The doctor's words echoed in her mind, drowning out everything else. Her initial disbelief quickly turned into anger and betrayal as she confronted Ryan, who admitted he had known about his status but had hidden it, hoping for the best. Sophia was overwhelmed by despair, feeling trapped in a reality she hadn't chosen. Her nights were filled with tears and her days with forced smiles as she tried to maintain a facade of normalcy. The weight of her secret burdened her, and her once lively spirit was dulled by the harsh truth of her situation. One evening, as she sat alone, staring at the city lights from her apartment window, a dark thought crept into her mind. If Ryan had shattered her life without remorse, why should she suffer alone? Fueled by resentment and a desire for vengeance, she decided to take control in a twisted way, by spreading the virus to unsuspecting men. Sophia transformed herself into someone she barely recognized. She frequented nightclubs and bars, places she had previously avoided, hunting for men who were captivated by her charm and beauty. Each encounter left her feeling more hollow, yet she pressed on, convincing herself it was only fair retribution. As the months passed, the toll of her actions became evident. She felt a strange fatigue. Unlito the doctor confirmed her fears. She had aggressive. These new diagnoses filled her with dread, compounding her already overwhelming situation. Sophia found herself at a crossroads, burdened by guilt and fear. Her initial drive for revenge now seemed petty and destructive, leaving a wake of unintended consequences. She was consumed by questions. Could she ever forgive herself? Was redemption possible? What kind of life could she build from the ruins of her past actions? In the silence of her apartment, Sophia contemplated these questions, seeking a glimmer of hope amid the darkness she had created. Her journey was far from over, and the path to healing and acceptance was uncertain. But deep down, she knew she had to confront the person she had become to discover the woman she could be. The city lights flickered like distant stars, casting long shadows across Sophia's apartment. Her nights were filled with restless sleep and dreams haunted by the faces of those she had hurt. The realization that her pursuit of revenge had only deepened her own suffering weighed heavily on her mind. Determined to change, Sophia took the first step towards healing by reaching out for help. She found a support group for individuals living with HIV, a safe space where she could share her experiences without fear of judgment. The group was a mosaic of stories, each person battling their own demons but united by a shared struggle. Through the group, Sophia met Carla, a vibrant woman who had lived with HIV for over a decade. Carla's optimism and resilience were infectious, and she became a mentor to Sophia, offering guidance and support. Under Carla's encouragement, Sophia began volunteering at a local clinic, educating others about HIV prevention and awareness. The work gave her a sense of purpose, a chance to make amends in a way that her past actions couldn't. Yet, as she tried to rebuild her life, the fear of her past catching up to her lingered. She knew she needed to confront the men she had infected, but the thought of facing them filled her with dread. Each day was a battle between her desire to move forward and the guilt that threatened to pull her back. Meanwhile, her health continued to deteriorate. The infections she had contracted were not easily treated, and the combination of medications took a toll on her body. Sophia was often exhausted, her energy drained by the constant fight to stay well. She realized she could no longer ignore the reality of her situation. If she was to survive, she had to fully commit to her health and well-being. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult doctor's visit, Sophia found herself sitting by the river that wound through the city. The water flowed steadily, a reminder of time's relentless passage. In that moment, she decided to write letters to the men she had wronged, hoping to find some measure of peace through honesty. The process was agonizing, forcing her to confront the consequences of her actions head-on. With each letter, she poured out her remorse, acknowledging the pain she had caused and expressing a genuine desire for their healing and forgiveness. She mailed the letters with trembling hands, unsure of what responses, if any, she would receive. As the days turned into weeks, Sophia slowly began to notice changes within herself. Her guilt, while still present, started to give way to acceptance. She had taken responsibility for her actions and was actively working to make amends. The support from her group and her friendship with Carla provided strength and encouragement, bolstering her resolve to live a life of integrity and compassion. Sophia knew her journey was far from over. The road to redemption was fraught with challenges, and the shadow of her past would always be a part of her. But she was learning to navigate it with grace, guided by the hope that healing was possible, not just for herself but for those she had hurt. One evening, as she stood on her balcony, watching the city settle into the night, Sophia felt a sense of calm. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, she was ready to face it, one step at a time. Her story was still unfolding, and she was determined to shape it into one of resilience, forgiveness, and ultimately, redemption. Months passed, and Sophia's life began to take on a new rhythm. She focused on her health, diligently following her treatment plan and attending therapy sessions to work through her emotions. Her volunteer work at the clinic blossomed into a job opportunity, and she became a counselor, using her experiences to help others navigate the complexities of living with HIV. As the letters reached the men she had infected, responses began to trickle in. Some were angry and hurt, while others expressed a desire to understand and heal. One man, David, reached out to Sophia directly, requesting a meeting to discuss what had happened. Nervous but determined, Sophia agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe. David arrived, and they sat facing each other, the weight of their shared past heavy between them. "I was angry at first," David admitted, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "But I appreciate your honesty and the courage it took to write that letter. It's not easy to face the damage we've done." Sophia nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I'm truly sorry for what I did. I let my pain and anger control me, and I hurt people who didn't deserve it. I'm working every day to be better." Their conversation stretched on, moving from pain to forgiveness, and ultimately to understanding. David, like Sophia, was seeking a way to move forward, and their meeting marked the beginning of a fragile but genuine friendship. It was a reminder to Sophia that healing was a process, not a destination, and that reconciliation was possible,